The PL Show is brought to you by Kel Charcoal, Kel 360, and Kel Kids Toothpaste. Hello and welcome to the Kel Toothpaste PL Show. I am Emefa Apawu and I welcome you to the Kel Toothpaste PL Show, brought to you by Kel Charcoal, Kel 360, and Kel Kids. With Kel is always a happy smile. I'm beautifully clothed by Kafui Clothing. She's on all our social media platforms. Please do well to contact her to get your beautiful clothes for your loved ones as well. Orson Welles has a saying that if you want a happy ending to the story, that depends, of course, on how you end it. My guest today is all about stories. She's a filmmaker. She's a media production consultant. She's a lecturer. She's also a counseling psychologist and a guidance coach. She's a phenomenal lady, taking the seat shortly right here on the Kel Toothpaste PL Show. Please stay with us. We're right back.
Adwoa.
Mommy.
Mama Josie. Fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Charcoal Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste, Sankofa,
Yenchi, Kel Charcoal Toothpaste.
happy smile.
You're welcome back to the Kel Toothpaste PL Show. As always, brought to you by Kel 360, Kel Charcoal, and Kel Kids. With Kel is always a happy smile. My guest today is always wearing that happy smile. Like I said, she's a filmmaker, a media production consultant. She's a counseling psychologist as well, guidance coach. And I know that she's trained over 100 media practitioners as we have it. Welcome, Adwoa Prah.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So you see, I wasn't wrong. Look at the happy smile. She's wearing it always. So what about your upbringing drove you to the industry that you are in now?
I grew up in a home of artists. My daddy was an artist, actually paints and exhibits his work all over the world. When I finished secondary school, I was torn between journalism and doing film. Kweku Baku was one of the people I really admired. But I felt like, okay, you know what, let me do this film thing. And then I can always add, some level of reporting and advocacy to it. So that's why I'm here. Yeah.
Why didn't you choose journalism?
Well, the spark wasn't there, possibly because I was actually seeing a lot of filmmakers around me. I felt like, okay, let me just give this a try. And it really helped.
And for some reason, we are spotting the same hair too.
I know, right? And I like you too.
We're twinning. Okay, so
Yeah.
how has it been? I'm sure that, is there a point that you said that, oh, maybe yes, I should have just done journalism instead of the filmmaking?
No, as much as I admire a lot of journalists, I really admire you too. I feel when it comes to advocacy, you can actually say whatever it is through whichever medium. So if I need to push an agenda, I can still make films and educate people. And you can also go and report it and have breaking news and all of that. So we're actually doing the same thing, but in different ways, Yeah.
How tough is it for a woman in the industry?
I'm careful to say that filmmaking is a bit challenging for women. I think it's a perception you have. I actually went to film school not thinking I was a woman. I was thinking about being in class with fellow mates and we're working together and all of that. So you can actually work overnight for days with guys in the same room, lie on the floor and all of that, and you function normally. There's nothing feminine about what you do. But it gets to a point where you want to settle. It gets to a point where you're making family and you're making kids and you can't actually leave your kids there all the time. So the times that you delegate the work, so you're not actually practicing because there isn't much time as you had on your hands when you were single. So yes, it gets to a point where it stares at us in the face that there are limitations. But the other times that we all just wear the jeans and the shirts and we go together, So it's really nothing to do with the gender.
Let's talk about growing up.
We were 4 siblings, actually, 4 girls. My daddy was a very tough person, a disciplinarian, but he would also give you the opportunity to go and have fun when you want to go and have fun. I remember there were days that he traveled and came and brought us, very short shorts and all of that. People felt like, hey, what is that? But he feels like, being free at home gives you the opportunity to be yourself wherever you are. So you're confident to know that, okay, he's giving me the opportunity. I don't have to mess up. I think that confidence actually has kept me to where I am now. And I can't easily be intimidated, because we are all the same. And as much as you're able to give your best out there, I don't think that your gender identifies you. It's about, oh, that's a good work. It's not about a woman. I mean, contemporary times, because women are actually in the minority, we are struggling to get there. Sometimes they have to say, oh, it's a woman's work, so people will applaud. But it doesn't really matter, Yeah.
Number what? Out of the 4?
3, Mansa. Adwoa Mansa.
Adwoa Mansa Prah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm adding the Mansa throughout.
Yeah.
Any other fond memories you
Well,
so
as daddy's
remember?
pet. As daddy's pet, because he was my father, he was my lecturer. We were colleagues at a point. Eventually, I became his nurse. I thought I was really not understood when I was expressing myself, but he understood me, and I think that's actually what pushed me eventually into studying further, to really understand children, to understand people, to be able to help them with all these psychological problems they have, because I believe that everybody has some good traits in them, but if there's a trigger, it's as a result of something that is not going on well. So, growing up, all 4 girls having fun, working. My mom will make you do everything from scrubbing to cooking to going to the market. And we go to the market and she's, somebody says, oh, Anton Fakaya. He's like, Kaya Nedimich. So, we were virtually doing everything. I think it's really helped us. You're able to be independent wherever you find yourself. I miss the moments where I said to my father and I'm able to talk to him about everything and anything. And these memories keep me going.
Wow. Let's talk about how you went into psychology.
After teaching for over a decade and working with students on productions, you know what production entails, and the kind of frustration that occurred during the post-production stage, the conflicts that were arising and the tempers and all of that. I was actually always in the middle of everything, where you have to calm people down, you have to just get them to look at the final picture rather than the challenges they're having. Now, this went on for a while, and I said to myself, you know what? I've been doing this thing informally. Why not go to school, have an MA in psychology?
You always had a way of managing the
I
situation.
know, right?
Okay.
So I went back to school, and I wasn't just sitting in class as a student at the time. I was looking at partnerships in class. So when my lecturers are speaking, I'm like, okay, so this guy has written a book on parenting. He just wants to launch it and put it somewhere. No, how can we use film to bring some of these elements in the book out so that people who are struggling as parents would understand what parenting is all about? Have a school of parenting on your screen so that, you don't have to go and ask somebody, because you can't use somebody's method to fix yours. So all of these things generated some interest in me, but I always want to go along with a film. Because then when you have film, you're able to translate whatever concepts or whatever theories into video. That makes it easily accessible to all. After school, I was actually made a counseling coach in school at NAFTI. And because I've always had that interest, I realized that sitting and waiting for people to bring you their problems won't happen. Because, we have this whole stigma against mental health and all of that. I'm told 1 in every 4 people would suffer some mental breakdown at one point or the other in their lives. So that tells us that we are all at risk. And for women, there's so much we have to take care of. And there are times that nobody listens to us. So I said, okay, how about going to people, having a screening session, a film that has a particular theme that bothers on maybe abuse at home. You show it to a group of women, for women's fellowship, and the effect you get from them, people screaming, the reaction, the catharsis. I'm like, this is it. But she won't come and see you as a therapist. But when you go to her with a film and you show her the film and you begin a conversation, she's even able to even start writing her wrongs before she gets home. So I believe that film has a powerful tool to actually go to places where the therapist cannot go to places where the counselor cannot go to people that are going to forever be inaccessible. I've also started these outreaches with junior high school students. and you'll be amazed at the stories. So before they write their BEC, I have sessions with them where I inspire them. I, educate them on how to manage examination anxieties. We talk about abuse. We talk about female reproductive health and all of that. So these are things that give me fulfillment. But it didn't just start. At a point in time in school, in secondary school, I was so broken. I kept crying all the time. I didn't really know what it was, but I don't know whether I didn't like my school or I didn't like my friends. But later on, years down the line, at master's level in psychology class, I realized that I was depressed. So you see how long it's taking. So we are all going through one thing or the other. So whatever it is you're doing, I believe that we can lend a helping hand to people around so that they don't give up. What if I'd committed suicide? I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have been able to reach those people that I reached. So I think everybody has something that drives them, that motivation. But when you become a survivor, you're able to help people survive.
Is it easy to know that you actually have a mental problem?
Because of stigma, you're not able to brand it like that. You're not able to tag it like that. That's why I try to move away from counseling. Because when you say you're a counselor, people think, oh, I have a problem. No, I don't need a counselor. But we do. So, make it interesting like, oh, I'm a coach. I'm a guidance coach. I'm a student support person. So yes, come and let's have a chat. Let's have lunch. Let's talk about this. What do you think about that? As they talk, you're able to identify the problems they have. And I'm not giving you prescriptions. I'm just giving you talking therapy. And you realize that as you talk to them, they open up and they heal in the process. A couple of days ago, I spoke to an 11-year-old and we spoke for 3 hours. As I drove back home, I was like, God, this is all I needed for today. Because this girl got up and told me, nobody has actually spoken to me the way you've spoken to me before. And I was like, wow, this is it. And when you give them these survival kits, it takes them through life. So when she moves from junior high school and she's in SHS or she's in the university, she's able to reflect on these things that she's built upon, and it helps her. So she knows that when she's down, she has to activate some other coping mechanisms. So if it's about taking a walk, getting into some sports, or even doing positive self-talk, then you actually challenge the negative thoughts that are coming that, oh, you're not good enough. You replace it with the exact opposite. And by that, you realize that your mood changes, your confidence is built up, and you're able to go out and meet the world. We better equip ourselves with things that will make us survive in the process.
What else do you lecture?
I specialize in editing. I did my MA in Bournemouth University. I specialized in post-production editing. I teach documentary. I've also taught advertising at a point. But my interest when it comes to film is taking blank slates, people who know nothing about film.
So I can.
Yes, you can. I have a matured class. You can join evening school. Yes, so anybody who doesn't know anything about film or anything about editing, coming to sit in my class as a blank slate, and after 6 months or after 4 years, this person is able to produce a show like this. That is what gives me fulfillment. So the process of nurturing them in the storytelling process in film, during post-production, is my interest, actually.
We'll get into 360, proudly brought to you by Kel 360 toothpaste. Gives you that cool, minty, fresh breath all day. FDA approved, safe for the entire family. We'll get into Adwoa Prah 360 right after this break. Please stay with us.
Brush, 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 brush your teeth. Brush, 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 2 times a day. Brush with Kel Kids.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kel Kids Toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger. Chicky, chicky, whiter. Chicky, chicky, stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kel Kids. Happy smile.
Adwoa Prah is a filmmaker, media consultant, lecturer, counseling psychologist, and a guidance coach. She has trained over 100 media practitioners in advertising, documentary editing, and the art of storytelling at post-production both at NAFTI and other institutions. She serves as a jury member for the European Union Film Festival, MTN Foresight Music Awards, and Indiva Women's Film Festival, just to mention a few. She also works as a mental health advocate with WFI, an NGO that focuses on suicide prevention.
With my experience with Ms. Prah, I've come to realize that she's a very selfless person, respectful and confident. She's done so much for me personally in terms of being there to listen to my problems, even as I was a student.
Adwoa is very passionate about people and about mental health and welfare. She's probably going to write a book because she's been talking about that for a while. But also using film and, you know, her role here as like the school counselor and stuff like that to improve the lives of people. And we'll support her the best we can.
That's Adwoa Prah 360. And how does it feel hearing your former students, now some of them also your colleagues in school lecturing? How does it feel?
It's refreshing to know that they're actually telling the truth and you seem to be making an impact in a particular direction. And for me, it underscores the fact that you're doing well. Go ahead, keep doing it, because we all can't be Emefa, but we can be our unique selves wherever we find ourselves.
I'll be your student soon. You
Okay.
Well, but I'm sure there are some names. I know there are a lot of them that you've lectured. Any of them that readily comes to mind? Do you remember some of them?
Okay, so the producer of the show, Cecilia, the director of the show, Sheila. There are lots of them, and they are dotted all over the TV stations, and most of them are even managers at this time. I mean, you have Enoch, PK, a lot of them all over all the Ghanaian TV stations. Yes.
Was there a point that you thought that enough is enough, I don't want to do this anymore? Something that broke you to the extent that you're like, no, I shouldn't have done this?
I think that was when I dovetailed into the counseling psychology, because sometimes it gets boring having assessments, seeing students through their productions, showing their films, they getting excited and then leaving school. At a point, I remember I said to one of them, I think it was Sheila or someone, I was like, you know, I really want to stop this thing. And I said, oh, Miss Prah, can I maybe in school? And you always have somebody saying, no, Miss Prah, wait and let me finish. But I don't think it's just about them. It's also about what gives you the drive to wake up to go to work. And I believe that when I added the counseling and the coaching, it gave me more fulfillment. So this is there and that is also there, but it can converge to be able to produce something very beautiful that can reach out to the world. So.
Is it rewarding? Because knowing that most of your students now making it all over, all the radio stations and TV stations, I should say, and you're still lecturing. Is it that rewarding?
Yes, it's rewarding. I won't say it's not rewarding, because the point is when you get to a point where you want to produce something, you have people coming on board. No, if it's Miss Prah, I want to volunteer, I want to do this, because they know what your passion is. So we are working on a couple of things, and you have past students just wanting to come back and also help. And the good thing is that when they do well, they also come back to school to share their experiences with the students. So the students also find mentors in them. So it's a cycle that keeps going. And for me, that is a good thing.
How have you stayed this powerful without upsetting others or alienating them because you're a woman? I know you mentioned earlier that you don't see gender in what you do. You're just working with colleagues, but it sometimes comes up. Something we can't run away from. How do you still stay powerful and not upset them as a woman?
Well, I make the guys my friends. We are friends who eat and drink together, so we are friends. But if I have to say it as it is, I say it as it is. And if I have to apologize, I apologize nicely and we move on. If I am not satisfied with something, I will not hide it. So yes, conflicts are bound to happen. But when they happen, we all have to, find very good ways or very flexible ways of managing it. Because really, I don't think it's about the conflict, but it's about what it is that we have to do. You get it? So you look beyond the conflict. But I am humble enough to say sorry when I offend somebody and even buy you lunch, and then we move on from there.
I see bribery there.
It's not. It's not.
Okay. Do we get a lot more women venturing into this?
So out of a class of about 10, You have 2 females, unfortunately so. And when they come, I don't see them as females because, because of the male majority, they tend to lean on them for help. And I don't like that, because when you go to Joy Prime for a job, or you go to any station for that matter for a job, your gender does not give you the job, ideally.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to work hard to be able to prove yourself. So I put them on their toes, and some people get offended. And when they do, I don't care. But because when you finish school and you're doing well, you remember, oh, that's the woman who was always giving me pressure, and at least you'll be doing well. So that'll be good.
Paid off.
Yeah.
Well, you are a mother,
Yeah.
family woman, lecturing, producing films, counseling, guiding, coaching, amongst others. These are traits that will be very difficult for any ordinary person to juggle. How do you do it?
Well, my husband is understanding. He saw me as a filmmaker before he married me, so he's really understanding. And there are times that he does almost every other thing that a woman is supposed to do just to be able to get me to go out and do what I have to do. I'm here today because he's taking care of the home and I have to be here. You get it? So I think that it's some level of understanding that you have to have with whoever you are with, so that the person supports your dream as he also supports the person.
So we've been talking about the husband. How many of the children do we have?
Oh, I have one of my own, and I have a couple that I take care of. Yeah, so it's
How
not.
old is she?
Oh, she's 11 going on 12.
Hey.
Yes.
Well, so how does she take it?
I wish we could interview her for her to say it as it is, because she won't mince words. But I think that she has a lot of admiration for me. And she's happy when she sees you on TV. She's happy when she sees you doing stuff on stage and all of that.
I see that you do other things. That's the DIY segment, brought to you by Kale Charcoal Toothpaste, giving you that white teeth without going through the trouble of using grinded charcoal and plantain, amongst others, to get you that. Is the Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Gives you the same effect, and it's approved by the Food and Drugs Authority. Let's get into Adwoa Prah doing it herself.
Hi, you're welcome to my DIY segment. When you have a flat tire and there's no one to help, I'll take you through the simple steps that would aid you change your tire and put you on the road back to safety. Even though the back one is flat, it's important to secure this one so that in the process of moving it or jerking it up, you don't have it moving forward. So just in case you don't have anything that will choke it properly, get a stone and make sure it secures it. You should be able to have a jack in your boot. You put it underneath the car to secure it properly, and then you start raising it. Now, if it gets to an appreciable point where you see the tire is above the ground, then you're good to go. The next thing to do is to loosen the bolts. You should be on your way to removing the flat or semi-flat tire off the hook. So then you get your spare tire, which obviously should be in a better condition than the one you just took off. So when the spare tire is now fixed and is seated on, we put the bolts back. We eventually tighten it all up. Now, to make sure that it's well locked, the same way we unlocked it, you use the reverse to lock it properly. We do the same for all the other bolts. So the next thing is to loosen the jack now. And we are good to go. I certainly have burnt some calories from this DIY section, but most importantly, I hope you've learned a thing or two, so when you're stuck somewhere and there's no one to help you, you should be able to change your car tire.
Of all the things you can do for yourself, changing tire.
Yeah, because there were times that I was driving late in the night, only go home to realize I had a flat tire. So I was just thinking, what if it had happened in the middle of the road? Who are you going to call? So at least try and do it yourself, test it and see if it works. So when you find yourself in a fix, you survive.
Looks like you're a hard chick.
Well, you need to do that to survive.
Well, but apart from that, I'm sure you do other things as well.
Yes. I don't make wig cups, but you hardly find me taking my wigs to the salon for it to be curled and all of that. So I do all of those things. I can do it for people, and sometimes they get amazed. I don't sew, but I'm actually trying it out. But basically, I love to cook, obviously. I love to cook to serve people. I like to make people comfortable. So when I have the time, I just make sure that people are comfortable and they eat well.
Can a woman have it all?
Yes and no. I think that we can learn every day to add on to whatever it is that we have. Already as a woman, you were built with a lot in you before you came into the world. But if you're willing and ready to learn and not let the world put you down, I think you'll be enough for every moment.
What makes you the proudest in terms of all the things that you've achieved over the period?
You know, to have somebody say that I didn't end my life because of you, that's so refreshing, because you can't have a take two of life. For somebody to say that, you know what, that talk you had with me a couple of years ago is what has kept me till today. You don't have to be a politician. You don't have to be a pastor to do that. But just being that ordinary person who will stop and have a conversation with an ordinary person when she's going through something, I think for me is most fulfilling.
Do you love surprises?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
Ms. Prah has helped a lot of students who have gone through her hands. When you go to NAFTI at level 300, you are assigned to a production unit to have your practicals. At level 300, I was due. I used to love, pulling magic and applying effects. And so my favorite, genres were entertainment, magazines, music videos, those kind of things, so that I could apply those magics. But I don't know what Ms. Prah, saw in me, and I don't know if it was intentional, but it is something very significant that has contributed to who I have become. I was asked to work on Presidential Special Initiative, and editing that production was so boring. For somebody who loved fast-paced edit and would apply effects. But with the assistance of Ms. Prah and her convictions, I understood that I needed to do that. And it is one critical thing that has helped build my skill for editing documentaries and, some slow-paced television productions, drama, commercials, and documentaries. So generally, I want to thank Ms. Prah. And so, Ms. Prah, we appreciate you, and we won't do this just, once and wash it away. We'll always continue to thank you and make you know and feel that, hey, the lecturers or the teachers' reward is not just in heaven, but here.
When I met Adwoa, I was in NAFTI, and I wasn't her student per se, but I was a student while she was a lecturer. Getting to my third year and my final year, I grew closer to Adwoa, and I realized that there's something about her that was very pleasant. In actual fact, we thought that she was very inquisitive and she was always in the business of her students. But until recent years, that I have noticed that Adwoa was actually fulfilling her calling. That is the counseling ministry that is on her life. And I remember Lorraine and I used to say that she's God's secretary. Everything you do, Adwoa will say, God will ask you. I love you very much, and God bless you.
Wow. That brought tears to your eyes. It gave me goosebumps as well.
I mean, these are people these are people you talk to, but they're not pretending, they're saying it as it is. It's touching in a different way. So
There are a lot more.
it gives us the energy to move on. Yeah.
It tells you that a lot of people are watching and looking up to you. You're ready to give more.
So long as God gives us the grace, yes.
Miss Adwoa Prah, you'd want to say something to those who may want to give up your calling ministry and God's secretary.
I know, right? Life is not going to get any better. Most people survived last year, and we would survive the rest of the years so long as we don't give up. When you feel like giving up, talk to somebody. Because if you keep it all to yourself, you will break down. If you keep it all to yourself, you will lose it. And there are people who are willing to support you without telling the world, so reach out to somebody and you'll be fine.
Thank you so much. You're phenomenal. You inspire, you motivate, you educate. Please continue to be you. This is from us to you. To keep on that beautiful smile that you have already. Smile for me. Let me see. That's a beautiful smile. So this is from us to you.
Thank you.
And there's the Kel Charcoal toothpaste, the Kel 360, and the Kel Kids toothpaste. Just
thank you.
For you.
Thank you. And the family, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
For the family use.
Thank you.
And then this. Asisiga.
Oh,
For you to...
I need
No,
to
you
put-
can... Let me take that for
Yes,
you.
please.
Okay, so this is also from us to you.
Oh,
For the queen that you are,
wow.
you deserve yours too.
Thank you very much, the PL show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of our show.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to hosting you again.
Oh,
really. You can see I just don't want you to go.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's it for our show today. Miss Adwoa Prah. You can find her at NAFTI. She's a filmmaker, media production consultant, a lecturer, counseling psychologist, coach, and she's God's secretary as well. So if you need God, contact her. I am Emefa Apawu, and this is the Kel Toothpaste PL show brought to you by Kel 360, Kel Charcoal, and Kel Kids. Kel, as always, a happy smile. Another edition comes your way same time. Please stay safe.
Your love is sweet, pass sobolo, sobolo, so your love is sweet, oh, oh, oh. K-O-B-I, Odona Kamakumemo.